Tell us your name first of all, please.
Muhammad Al-Sharif,
Mohammed El Sharif. And which organisation are you from?
Muslim for Bristol.
Muslims for Bristol. Muslims plural?
Muslims, yeah?
Yeah, for Bristol.
Yeah.
Tell us about the meeting tomorrow. Why have you called it? What do you think is the reason behind that?
I think it's a meeting where, with the Muslim community, we need to come together and decide how can we really work around radicalizations and how work with communities to make sure, the horrific attacks happen in London and Manchester is not really happening. So the Muslim community, we need to come together, we need to work together to make sure, we have awareness within our communities, working with our young people and authorities as well, so we can really stop any further attacks in the UK. It's our country.
But what's the feeling about the prevent strategy? What do you think is not being done right at the moment?
I think it's very difficult to say what's not being done rightly. I mean, here in Bristol, we're lucky. I used to be the vice chair of Building the Bridge, which is really delivering the prevent strategy. In Bristol, we had a very good engagement so far. I think more need to be done. We need to make sure all communities involved, young people, women, families as well. So really we need to build on the success in Bristol to make sure this is one of the key issue for the Muslim community. So awareness everywhere in the families, in the schools and the colleges. So it's more about how can we do more. Yes, definitely. I think, as I said, the grassroots is working with young people, working with the schools, working with the families, and working with organizations. So, as I said, we need to do more. We need to make sure, we reach out to young people particularly, because there are lots of issues around, onlines and the use of onlines, and how can we really get into the families as well, because families need to be aware of the activities of their children online, as well as, working with the schools and organizations, all Muslim communities, mosques, all the community need to come together, and that's what I mean by grassroots.
But there's a feeling that's not happening at the moment. You need to get the message further down.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said there's a lot of work happening in the past few years. The more need to be done, and I think if we need to make it successful, we need to work with young people, we need to work with families.
And what about our foreign policy? Is that something that you can't hide? It's online, you can see it.
And I think you can't justify, terrorism using the foreign policy, but I can really for sure say a lot of Muslim communities talk about how can we make sure there is no place in the world for terrorists to hide. And sometimes, areas like Iraq, like Afghanistan, like Libya, provide, a place for terrorists, for training and for hiding. So I think we need to make sure we talk also about foreign policy.
And that would mean people talking about foreign policy at school, perhaps, if there's something they don't like, talking about it?
Yeah, I think that's the democratic process, isn't it? People need to have, a democratic way of talking about, foreign policies. Part of what Muslim for Bristol do is to try to engage young people in civil actions and also involve in politics, because if you have an issue with foreign policies, I'd rather young people talk about it and involve in political process to change policies rather than go that line of terrorism.
And what is it like when you hear the terrorists saying this is for Allah before they stab people to death? What is it like as a Muslim to hear that?
It makes me angry, and I think it makes me angry that they're using my peaceful religion to justify their criminal acts. I don't call them Muslims. They're terrorists, they're criminals. We should be treating them like this.